2 in the morning, and the marina parking lot is full. That never happens in February. You're halfway down the dock with a duffel bag over one shoulder and a plastic gas can banging against your knee, and behind you, on the other side of the causeway, the highway is making a sound you've never heard it make before. Not traffic. A flat, unbroken, 100,000 engine hum with no gaps in it. Nobody's moving. 3 slips down, a guy is standing under the light arguing with the fuel attendant about a card that is not going to work tonight and is not going to work tomorrow either. Everybody's plan is inland. Get out of the city, get away from the coast, drive until the buildings stop and the trees start. It's the plan in every movie. It's the plan in your family group chat. On paper, it's fine. On asphalt, it dies. One highway lane moves about 2,000 cars an hour when the world is behaving. When 2.5 million people leave the same city on the same night, it moves almost nothing at all. Houston already ran that experiment for us in 2005, a 100-mile traffic jam, 4-hour drives turning into 20. People ran out of gas sitting still, and more of them died on the road than died from the storm they were running from. 2.5 million people. One direction. All of them absolutely certain they were being smart. Now turn around and look the other way. No lanes out there, no off-ramps, no merge, nobody's radiator letting go in the fast lane. Just water and 360 degrees of it and not one single person in your way. Which sounds like the obvious answer. And it is. But here's what puts people in the ground. The ocean doesn't have traffic, it has a door. And the door closes long before you think it does. Breathe. We're taking that door apart, timing it, and getting you through it early. A chart, a clock, and 6 hours of looking like an idiot in front of your neighbors. 1. The lane that isn't there. Open water doesn't buy speed. 6 knots is 7 miles an hour, slower than a bike. It buys you 7 miles an hour that never merges and never stops. 160 miles a day while you sleep. And the thing traffic engineers know that nobody repeats. Once a highway breaks down, it never climbs back to 2000. It moves fewer cars crawling than it moved flowing. Capacity drop. The road gets worse at the exact hour 3 million people need it better. Even the fix, flipping inbound lanes to run outbound, takes most of a day. That crowd isn't stupid. It's one animal with 3 million legs, all pointed the same direction, moving at the speed of its worst leg. And the water sits there empty the entire time. Which is exactly why everybody files it under later. That's the mistake. 2. The door is on land. Your exit isn't the ocean. It's the last mile of pavement, full of things a person or a switch controls. Count them. The road to the marina is the same asphalt. Everyone else is on. And past one causeway there's one road. A gate somebody can decide not to open. A fuel dock that needs grid power, a card reader, and a bank still answering. Marina pumps push about 10 gallons a minute. 200-gallon tank, 20 minutes, 11 boats behind you doing the same math. Then bridges, the sneaky one. A bascule bridge splits in the middle and tilts up and closed. Your clearance might be 20 feet. Your mast is 50. Plenty need advance notice on a normal Tuesday, and there's a federal rule letting one stay shut during an emergency. Your boat, fueled, crew aboard, stuck in a puddle with a ceiling. Locks need an operator who came to work, and over all of it sits the captain of the port, one Coast Guard officer, with the authority to shut a harbor and decide who moves, starting with a phone call. After September 11th, American ports didn't close in weeks. They closed in hours. Count your doors this weekend. Write the number down. Most people find 4 you know where the door is. The only question left is what time it shuts, and how you know before the man on television does. That part runs backwards from everything you've been taught. 3. Leave before the announcement or don't leave. An official order isn't a starting gun. It's a receipt. Proof that a decision got made hours earlier, upstairs, by people who already know where they're sleeping tonight, and it lands on your entire street inside the same 30 seconds. That's the whole trick. That's how a warning becomes a cue. So stop waiting on the news. The news is the slowest machine in the building. Watch the systems that have to move before anyone is allowed to say anything. The Coast Guard runs 3 port security levels, MARSEC 1, 2, and 3, and they've published them out in the open for free. At Level 2, vessel movement gets restricted. At Level 3, you go nowhere without permission from a man with a clipboard who has never heard of you. They post safety bulletins for every district. It is the most boring website on the internet, and it is hours in front of every anchor desk in the country. Then watch money, because money cannot keep its mouth shut. Fuel distributors going on allocation, a terminal that suddenly only wants cash. Money never holds a press conference. It just quietly stops trusting people. Watch schedules. Airlines pulling aircraft out of a region with clear skies. Railroads embargoing freight, which is the industry's polite way of saying, we're not sending anything else in there, and watch your own dock. A no departure notice taped inside the office window. A harbor master who suddenly wants to know exactly who's sleeping aboard which boat. Nobody counts heads for fun. 2 of those in one day is your alarm. Not 3, not a bulletin. 2-4, the cold dock drill. Ready to leave is not the same as packed. Keep the water tanks topped. A tank you're saving is a tank that's empty when it counts, and a full one sweats less. Spare fuel filter and wrench in one bag. Run the engine on a schedule, because a diesel that hasn't turned over in 5 weeks isn't an engine, it's furniture. Coil every line and cord so one person can drop them in under a minute. Nothing zip-tied. Then write the sequence down. 6 steps, taped inside a locker, in an order a 14-year-old can run in the dark, including which line comes off last, because that depends on which way the wind is setting you. Set a rally point and a time window out loud now, while it's boring. A place and an hour, not a phone call. The boat leaves at 4. Run it once at night, in bad weather. You'll find 3 things broken, and one of them will be you. 5. The part where I talk you out of it. For a lot of people, the sea is the wrong answer, and pretending otherwise is how a family ends up in the water at night. If your boat only exists because the marina exists, shore power for the fridge, a slip keeping the bilge under control, you don't own a boat. You own a floating apartment with a lease. Never held a course after dark? Never slept at anchor? Does 2 feet of chop turn your family into cargo? Most people adapt to seasickness in 2 or 3 days, and day 1 is the only day that matters. The highway is miserable and survivable. The water is pleasant, then it isn't, and it doesn't call anybody for you. 6. The short hop. The real answer almost never involves crossing an ocean. It's getting off the road network onto the water network and then stopping. And here's why that works, which is the part worth writing on your hand. Every crowd ends up on foot, eventually. A person on foot does about 3 miles an hour. Less with a bag, a lot less with a kid, and no breakfast. So a crowd has a radius, and that radius is roughly 1 day's walk from a road, and it goes thin at the edges fast, because walking is miserable, and nobody does it recreationally during the end of the world, which means the map that matters was never a map of safe places. It's a map of what sits inside somebody else's walk. Half a mile of cold water puts you outside it. Not because water is dangerous, because water isn't on the way to anywhere. Nobody stumbles across you. Nobody cuts through. A fence has a gate, and a gate has hinges, and hinges eventually have a bad night. Water has none of that, and it never gets tired of being water. Pick that place now, in daylight on a chart, no road touching it, reachable on 1 tank. And this is where the dock arguments start, because the best boat for this is boring. A shallow draft skiff that clears every bridge in the county and floats in 2 feet of water beats a 50-footer that needs a stranger to raise a bridge. Sailors will fight me on that. Good. Back to that parking lot at 2 in the morning. In the version where you make it, you're not in it. You were there at 4 in the afternoon the day before, on a Tuesday, nothing happening. Your brother-in-law texting the group chat to ask if you were serious. The clock never announces itself. It just spins you while you stand there, waiting for somebody official to say it's okay to go. And the door doesn't slam. That's what everybody gets wrong. It closes slowly, politely, in daylight, while there's still parking. Being early looks exactly like being wrong, right up until the second it doesn't, and nobody hands you anything for the 6 hours you spent as the neighborhood idiot. Be the idiot. Leave first. Look stupid on purpose.